The Real Show is brought to you by UCS Facility Management Limited, Omni Basic Bank, and Dewdrop Hand Sanitizer.
Let me introduce my first guest to you through this introductory video. Let's watch it.
Isabel Boaten is the managing partner of AB and David Ghana, the founding member of the PanAfrican law firm AB and David Africa. Her areas of expertise are corporate law, government business, and legislative reform. She led AB and David's campaign to become the first law firm in Africa to secure Lexil, the Law Society of England and Wales accreditation awarded to law firms that meet the highest management and client care standards. She has worked on several landmark assignments, including procurement concession reform in Liberia, public-private partnership policies, and legislative reforms in Ghana. She has also served in an advisory capacity on numerous mergers and acquisitions, including the banking and financial services, ICT, and the infrastructure development sectors. She has a number of awards to her name. They include Law Digest Africa Awards for Young Managing Partner of the Year and Female Managing Partner of the Year for 2015, the Woman in Law to Watch 2020, conferred by the Institute of African Women in Law. She is a lecturer in law practice management at the Ghana School of Law. Isabel is married with 2 sons. Her passion to see people achieve their career potential and gain professional fulfillment birthed her blog, Isabel's Journey of Discovery. Such an amazing woman. Welcome, Isabel, to The Real Show.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I must say, I love your dress.
Thank you.
I was hoping on to that to say when we start. And why law?
You know, first of all, I'm just watching the video and I'm thinking, is this supposed to be me? It seems to be an out-of-body experience. Now, in truth, I wasn't one of those, young people who knew what they wanted to do right at the beginning of their lives. Sometimes people who say, when I was 7, I knew I wanted to be a designer. When I was 8, I wanted to be a doctor. I didn't have that kind of eureka moment, very early in my life. But when I was in school, when I was doing my A-levels, I loved literature. So I knew I loved to read, I loved to analyze, but it still didn't really, the law didn't really come to mind. Yeah. But when I was about to go to the university, somehow, I think that at the time, there was a lot of information, we were sort of embroiled in a lot of painful stories about war and women and deprivation. And I thought maybe I need to do something that would help towards justice. So law seemed to be the natural choice. That's really why I became a lawyer. I mean, nothing more exciting than what I've just told you, yes.
Well, but you seem to be very good at what you do, looking at the fact that your firm has been recognized at the highest levels. Tell us, how did you grow your firm to this point? What set you apart?
Okay, so just to give you a little, history. So I joined the firm in 2000. The firm was founded by our senior partner currently, who is David Ofosu-Dorte. So he had a vision of creating not just a Ghana law firm, but an African law firm. And that started off in 1997. So I joined the firm 3 years later. Okay. And 3 years later, after I joined the firm, it was really exciting because, you had this person with a vision who was constantly telling you about what we can do in the next 2 years, what we can do in the next 5 years. Some of it was a bit overwhelming in the beginning, but once I put my heart into it, once I put my commitment towards it, I realized that each year we grew and we were magnifying. And interestingly, in a career, in a profession, where you having a last name that rings a bell is very important. But here I was working with this lawyer whose last name, Ofosu-Dorte, nobody knew at the time. But it was just my faith and my belief that this man had a vision, and I could just tell it right from our conversation in our interview that this is where I wanted to be, and I've been there ever since. I've been there. This is my 22nd year at the firm, and each year we have a new vision that we keep growing and we keep growing. So I think that's more a combination of vision, it's a combination of commitment, it's a combination of passion, and all of that has come together for us to become who we are today.
Now let's look at your journey towards becoming who you are today. These days it's very hard for anybody to just say, look, maybe law fascinates me, let me try law, because we're all looking at the fact that you have to study so hard, go through the years, and the fact that you are with such a firm, and not just with the firm, but a partner, is not easy, and it's not something we usually see these days. And so tell us how you became who you are today, your educational background, some of the opportunities and people you had to learn from, so that somebody watching who's probably now in law school can understand what's ahead and how to, you know, face the future.
Okay, so I start off with my alma mater always, Holy Child School, because I think that built in us a spirit of humility, charity, and simplicity. And sometimes it's not just your technical ability that is necessary. Your attitude is mostly what would, you know, turn your life, take you to the next level, help you to jump to the next step. And I think that's what Holy Child School did for me. So I wanted to thank Holy Child School. That will always be something that I will never forget. Additionally, I think also start off from your upbringing, from my mother. My mother is a very, if I say so myself, very beautiful woman, very sophisticated woman.
Yes, she is.
But very down to earth. And she taught us that, you know, the more you achieve, the more you push forward, the more God gives you blessings, the humbler you should get. So I think I started off life recognizing that it's about humility. It's about having a willingness to learn. And therefore, when I started with AB and David, when you start off in law practice, you realize that there's a lot of unlearning that you have to do. Because you go to law school, what you learn is very important, but it's largely theoretical. So you come into law practice and you have a senior who is teaching you. For me, for example, one of my greatest shocks was when I realized that, you know, I didn't write as well as I thought, you know, I did. Because I was a literature student and I love literature, and I was writing sort of like in literary language. So you do your first piece of work and your senior partner puts a red line through it. He says, no, you're writing not for yourself, you're writing for your audience. You're writing for the people who are going to be reading, not for you. So that was sort of like a big culture shock. And I'm thinking to myself, what does this man mean? All my life I've been told I write fantastically, and suddenly you're telling me I'm not as great. But I realized that it required a sort of unlearning and a sort of humility that you needed to be able to make it in the law. And I think those are the key things that you need to, you know, push yourself when it comes to law practice.
Yeah, let's look at the balance, the gender balance. You know, now we are trying to encourage women to enter fields that are male dominated, and even males to do same with women. So usually it looks like law is sort of a male-dominated area. Would you find that being the case now, or you think that women are doing better?
I think that things have changed, and I teach at the law school, so you sit in class. I think it's more like a 50-50, you know, so we are running neck to neck with the men in the class. And even in actual practice, you know, you realize that, for example, for my law firm, when it comes to lawyers, we are 80% female, 20% male. And I guess that's also a function of the kind of law practice that we practice, and also the opportunities that the law firm gives to women to be able to push themselves, to build their careers, while still having the ability to build a family life and have their own, you know, aspirations. So it is not like it used to be, where law for me was a male-dominated field. Really, now we are, as far as I'm concerned, we are neck to neck.
No, I was going to ask if that's the same thing with the work scenario or the office setting. Do we have a lot of women, you know, striving for the positions, or because of the whole idea that if you're a woman, you should humble yourself? And with law, you have to stand your grounds and prove your facts. So sometimes it comes across that a woman is being arrogant. Do you think that is sort of making women hold back from high positions, even at the workplace?
Yeah, I think there's a bit of that. But increasingly, women are realizing that at the end of the day, men or women will judge you based on your capacity. Nobody is really out, even when people have biases, they come and their biases just sort of fall apart when they realize that you are able to do what you're good at. So there's really no need to say that, oh, she's only doing this because she's a woman. Secondly, I think that one of the key things that I have come to realize is that you have to work with your femininity. You don't have to try to be a man. I have worked with my femininity, it's worked well for me. As I'm the managing partner of AB and David Ghana, I lead with my femininity. That means that sometimes I'm a mother, sometimes I'm a sister, sometimes I'm a friend, but all of that works together for people to feel that they have a secure workplace that they can come to and know that it's not just about the work. It's about family also, and it's about creating a culture where people feel at ease and feel happy to come to every day. And that's really important.
Yeah, now let's look at the reality of people thinking that going into law means you'd have to, you know, adjust certain life principles that you have, because sometimes you have a client who may not necessarily be right per your life principle, but you're supposed to be defending this person.
Yes.
How do you deal with such situations?
Yes. I think that basically there's this fundamental principle that everybody deserves representation.
Okay.
So whether the person is a crook, whoever, the person deserves representation. But and the second line of that is that at the end of the day, we are human beings. We have our principles and our morals. So even though as a lawyer, you know that everybody deserves representation, you can have your own personal sort of code and say that, for example, when it comes to drug dealers, no. When it comes to wife beaters, no. But that depends on your own moral code. But bottom line, everybody deserves representation. So you can't say, you know, you're going to represent them because they are.
No, a lot of people have issues at the police station and they have no idea how to handle it. They literally go to the policeman to give them legal advice.
Yes.
And looking at how the system looks, especially in the African setting where sometimes it looks like the police are not even being objective, you know, because of how the situation may look like. And the police, an ordinary policeman may not even have any investigation and will already start giving advice to the parties. Would you say that the reason for this is ignorance, or is because law or going for legal advice is seen as something expensive or extreme?
Yeah, I think that is a combination of all the things you've talked about. And a lot of times, so people feel like going to the law is expensive.
Yes.
And that's why people make a case for there being more lawyers and that there should be more, I mean, like the law school should admit more people into law schools. Of course, whilst we want more lawyers, most law students come into law school, we also don't want to have a situation where we are just, you know, opening the floodgates and then watering down the system.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, the key thing here is that once we are building a democracy, and that's, Ghana has had this constitution, well, since today's Constitution Day, 1992, people are beginning to recognize the need for their asserting their rights. So over time, you will find that people will see that no, the policeman is not the one, it's not the best person to tell me what my rights are. I will assert it, I will go to court if I need to. If I don't have the money, I know that there's legal aid. All of these opportunities are available to me. So I think that it's time, but with time, with our democracy, all of that will fall into place.
Now that we have you here, there are certain basic confusions that the ordinary Ghanaian faces. For instance, you have an issue with the police and you want to take your case to court because it doesn't look like anybody is coming to the bottom of anything. And we are in a country where there's a whole lot of processes that every case has to go through. Your case is going to be there for like 6 months, where maybe you could have had an arbitrator come in, let everybody know their chances, and you know, you settle everything. So in that case, how do you get a legal firm, or you as a layman, to even get a court or any other body to come into the situation and get the case to go to court? Is there a way, or unless the police do that?
Okay, so it depends on whether it's a criminal matter.
Okay.
If there's a criminal matter, remember that criminal matters it's against the state.
Okay.
And in that sense, the police have the mandate to investigate. So if it's a criminal matter, there will definitely be some police investigation about it. But when it comes to other matters, I think a lot of people feel cowed and feel that, oh, I'm afraid to go to, you know, this law firm. I'm afraid to even approach that law firm. But most law firms have a pro bono system where depending on the matter, you know, at hand, law firms will not, you know, spend their time and their energy on your business transaction without you paying for the fees. But sometimes if it's a real issue, if it's an abuse of human rights, you will find that some law firms will be ready to take on the case pro bono. And you'll be surprised. So I think that people should not just look at law firms, look at their buildings, look at the lawyers, the names of the lawyers, and no, I'm too scared. Sometimes all it needs for you to do is take that first step, go. And my husband always says, what's the worst thing that the person can say? No. That's the worst thing that can happen.
But well, in the case where somebody actually gets a chance or the right advice and direction and seeks a law firm to help them with their case, what happens when they go to court? Is it possible for the complainant or the defendant, whoever you're working with, can the person speak to the lawyer to sue the person for damages? As in, if you hadn't done this and that to me, I wouldn't have to come to the court with an issue, and I wouldn't have to have bills to pay to a law firm. And so, can the person be sued? Is there a scenario?
I think that everything is law. Everything is context. It's facts. It's law. And it's the application of the law to the facts.
So it's not generally acceptable.
So you can't say it's not generally acceptable, but it would depend on the circumstances of the case. Everything, there are lots of nuances that will determine how the case goes one way or the other.
All right. And let's look at the law firms in Ghana. There is this idea that most of the schools are based on the legal system of the Great Britain, because they colonized us. Is that true, or there's some sort of link, even if that's true, there's some sort of link to law that allows it to be universal, so that if somebody is trying to study as a lawyer here in Ghana, they don't have to be afraid of the fact that if they get to relocate, they will probably become redundant in the system?
Okay, so law is largely jurisdictional, so it's country specific. So in most countries, if you need to practice law in Ghana, you need to be called to the bar in Ghana. If I need to go to the UK, I need to, be called to the bar in the UK. So it's not crisscrossing. Okay. We don't have that crisscrossing. So you require that if you're going to practice law in that whatever country that you need to move to, then you need to be called to the bar in that country. Because otherwise, just imagine what will happen. Everybody just comes and jumps into somebody's court and starts. So there are rules and regulations depending on the country.
Yes. Now, in your leadership, there's been a lot of achievements. Can you tell us about some of your most memorable moments and how you were able to handle the situation on your team to lead them to achieve what you did?
Okay. I think one of the most exciting things that fills me with a lot of joy is when we got the Lexel accreditation. As a law firm, we had operated for a number of years. We had worked very consistently on our technical capacity, our client care, our processes and our systems. But we thought that we needed, sort of an external affirmation of what we have been doing all that while. And we also thought that if you had an independent person coming to look into what you do and confirming that, oh, indeed, this law firm is really up to scratch, then, of course, that would hold more sway than you yourself saying that I'm the best law firm or I have a great law firm. And therefore, the decision was made for us to apply to get the Lexel accreditation. That was very, very daunting, because it required that even though we had our own process and systems, we had to make sure that they were consistent with the Lexel standard. Now, that also meant that we needed a culture shift, because you have us doing things in a particular way, and even though the way that we were doing things was, pretty great, we still needed to go according to the Lexel standard. Now, bringing the team together, what we did was that we had a core team of people who we call the Lexel champions, who were going to work together to ensure that we got the Lexel accreditation. By the end of the day, we also needed everybody on board. So what you tried to do was to see the strength of everybody. Everybody has different strength that you could all sort of bring together to ensure that we got the Lexel accreditation. And it was a very fulfilling moment, because we became the first law firm in Africa to get the Lexel accreditation.
Wow.
That was really a big moment for us.
That is beautiful. Why would you want to focus on getting a Pan-African mileage instead of just focusing on Ghana? Looking at the fact that, the legal systems don't necessarily match, like you earlier said. What's the advantage in that?
Okay. So, over the years, you, as a law firm, you look at the needs of your clientele. Okay. And we realized that as our clients came in, they were looking to do business in Africa. They only came to Ghana as a launch pad to different parts of Africa. So they come and they say, Ghana is my starting point, but I want to do business in Nigeria, I want to do business in Kenya. And we say, I can't help you in Kenya, I can help you in Nigeria. So what we thought was that you needed to create a Pan-African law firm where your clients would be well served across Africa. And in doing that, we also recognized that there were different regulatory restrictions in terms of your ability to practice law in different countries. So we had a three-tier system where you had full member firms, you had affiliate member firms, and then you had best friend firms. These are firms that we worked with over the years, whose capacity, whose quality of work we could validate. And therefore, if a client comes to us right now and says, I want to do work in Kenya, hey, I can get you a law firm in Kenya, because we do have an affiliate member who is in Kenya, and that created us a seamless Pan-African practice. So that's why we decided to pursue that.
That is great. I know you blog as well, but why did you choose to do that and to share your story and your journey?
Okay. You find that a lot of times people forget that the reason why we are not able to meet our career aspirations or our personal aspirations may not necessarily be because of our technical capacity, whether how great you are as a lawyer in terms of your ability to understand the law. There are a lot of nuances. A lot of times it has to do with sometimes our own weaknesses, for want of a better word. And a lot of these come from self-doubt, come from being too happy with your comfort zone, not wanting to push yourself. A lot of things are more the human side of things. So I wanted to share with other people what I know that they're also experiencing. Because sometimes you get out there, you're a lawyer, you're the managing partner, you're all suited up, and everybody thinks you have everything under control. But you need to let people understand that sometimes I feel the way that you feel.
Yeah.
I feel the self-doubt that you feel. I feel the fear that you feel. And it's okay to feel that. But what you need to do is that go beyond that fear, go beyond that self-doubt, and key into yourself, because you would be able to overcome that fear and be that person that you want to be. So I wanted to share with people that human side of things, because I think a lot of times we keep that in us and we suffer and walk around and pretend as if everything is okay. No, we don't need to do that.
Now, what do you do for leisure? Because whenever we talk of people being in the legal system, it means they're all about their books and their work.
Okay.
But do you have something else you do for leisure, for fun?
Okay, so fun. My fun time will be with my husband and my sons especially, who want me to play video games. And I'm still struggling, learning how to play that. So that's one fun time. And I love to watch movies. And I say that when I leave work, I don't want to watch any serious movies. I mean, I just want to watch silly, movies that don't have any, don't cause me any stress and leave me, awake at night and thinking, oh, what painful story, what a painful end. I just want to watch, simple, uncomplicated stories. I do that. And then also, I just sometimes I just love to hang out sometimes with friends that I call my friends. People that I call my friends. Just chat, just talk about life. Those are my ways of letting my hair down.
Now, looking at the fact that as women, we have our career goals. I mean, 21st century women, we are chasing our dreams. You're doing amazing and setting the path for young people like myself and my viewers. But how are you able to manage your home and work?
Okay, I think that it's a difficult thing for everybody, and anybody who starts said, "Oh, it's a breeze." It's certainly not telling the truth.
Thanks for being real.
Yes, it's not easy. But I think that at the end of the day, everybody has their priorities. You have to decide what is number one for you, what is number two for you, because at the end of the day, there's nothing like work-life balance.
Yes.
It doesn't exist. One day, your family will hold sway. One day, your work will hold sway. But you have to decide what is important to you. Yeah. And once you decide what is important to you, that is what drives you in terms of how bad you feel when you're not able to do something. So, for example, over the years, I worked for 15 years, and I told myself in my 16th year till now, I'm reprioritizing that my family will be number one. That means that sometimes if work has to come, I have to find a way, of course, not to renege on my responsibilities, but have a system where you have built capacity of people to be able to do work. And then I said, I'm not going to be here in this meeting because I need to pick up my son. Everybody knows, everybody who's listening to me from my firm knows that, I'm sorry, I'm picking my son at 2 o'clock, so I can't have the meeting at 2. I can have it at maybe 5:30. When I've gotten home, I can come back and have that meeting, but 2 o'clock is my son's time. So you need to prioritize, but you also have to recognize that you need to build leverage before you can call in that. I had worked for 15 years and I say, this is what I want to do. You can't just come in and say 2 years, I want to. That doesn't work that way.
Yes.
You need to build that leverage to be able to call that in. Yes.
Thank you so much for keeping it real. You just had it on the real show. Here we keep it real. She says yes, it's not easy, but at every point in time, try and prioritize. Sometimes work may take the bigger side of your time. Sometimes it's family, but there should be a great balance, and you should know what's important to you at every point in time. Yes. Thank you so much. We've had a lovely conversation. I don't know if you have a piece of advice or something for us to go away with.
Okay, so what I just want to say to people who are listening is that I tell everybody we are not called to normalcy. Yeah. We are not called to come to this world to be normal wives, normal career women, normal mothers. We are called to be extraordinary. Yes. So that should be your yardstick. Once that is your yardstick, it doesn't mean that you always be extraordinary every time. But at least, even if when you fall short, you would at least be above average. So I tell people, please don't just go with the flow. No, don't. Tell yourself, I came to this life to be extraordinary, and you will be extraordinary.
Thank you so much, Madam Isabel Boaten. So you did hear from her. She says you came to this world to be extraordinary. Always try to be above average. And 2022, that is the zeal. Thanks for sticking with me.